Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. We are live. We weren't here last week. I'm sorry. But it is the 21st of February at about 11 a.m. Pacific time, and I am live, and I'm very glad to be here. I want to let you know that you can find us over in the chat room on Facebook. If you don't know how to get there, just head over to 12radio.com. That's number one, number two radio.com. Click on the chat button and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. If you are uh, wanting to watch this event live through a live stream, you can do so by heading over to Facebook or YouTube. Look for Katie Weaver Domestic Mystic, and you'll find me streaming there. I want to let you know that I'm a great multitasker and I'm keeping an eye on the chat room as well. And my banner's there, by the way, at the top of the page. That's where you'll see other people chatting. But I also want to let you know that I'm also keeping an eye on the chat from the live streams. They all come back to me in a in a condensed form so I can see all of them. So you're welcome to chat anywhere and I will see it. So hello, Sid. She said she loved the banner for today's show. Yeah, and the Bookworm Luminous cover too. Thank you. I've got books on the brain. I'll tell you why. Jane. Hey, Jane. I'll be here. And I hope you're well as well. Sending lots of hugs to you. Jane and I are kindred spirits right now in losing a fur baby. Dang it. Okay. Hello to Jessica and Renee and Tiffany. Good to see everybody. Rebecca. Glad to see you guys all here. It was very weird to sit last week out. And I needed to, for obvious reasons, there was a lot going on in my house and like I needed to take a week off, but I just don't do that. It felt very weird to not be here. I felt like I was sloughing class or something. So I'm glad I'm back. I don't like it. Hey, Jacqueline. Yes. Now, before we go any further, I need to tell you something. We are going to do a teaching today. I am going to teach you how to do an Osho spread. Last time we were on the show, I did an Osho spread for someone else, and I thought that that would be a great skill to teach you guys. So, if you want to follow along and play along, make sure that you grab a deck. I'm not going to get into that until like the last half of the show, so you have some time, but I wanted to give you a heads up now in case you wanted to go grab one of your oracle decks or tarot decks, doesn't matter. Whatever you want to use. No judgment here. So, but grab something so that you're ready to play along. I didn't want to take you by surprise. So, how are you guys? How are you doing with that full moon? How does that feel? How did it come out for you? I like this full moon, actually. It has definitely stirred up some creativity for me. My Pisces daughter is so excited that it's Pisces season and reminded me this morning. I said, I'm just feeling a little more clear headed. So I've just been through 3 weeks of being sick and kind of on a, not like having a cold level, on a RA meds gone wild level that really did a bad number on my immune system and resulted in a whole bunch of infections and fevers and like weird hives, weird stuff that we've really been struggling to get a hold of. And I think I'm finally on the flip side of it. But because of that, I've had to completely abandon RA meds for now. And I feel like I can think more clearly. So, and here I thought it was just because I'm 46 and don't have a thyroid, but yeah, wow, what a difference. So I was telling my daughter this morning that I feel like my thinker's back, that I feel like I'm thinking more clearly. And she said that she thinks it's probably just because here we are in Pisces season and coming through that Pisces new moon, and she might not be wrong. but but I feel like in some way, some like core way that I feel like I've been missing, that I'm back. So I like that feeling a whole bunch. The other stuff, not so much, but whatever. That's just the mundane, right? I I don't I'm not a fan of putting a whole lot of thought processes into the mundane. And in fact, I told my doctor, I said, I don't know if you understand how much I loathe coming to the doctor because I can't tell you how many times I've been to the doctor in the last 3 weeks. And she said, She said, "Did you know that if you went to an internal medicine doctor, you could have one doctor? She could actually be your specialist for all of your things and you wouldn't have to go to all these different doctors." Oh, I'm doing that. What if I could go to the doctor like once every 6 months? What if? Yeah, I'm getting there. Anyway, so solutions emerging. Yeah, I'd rather never go ever. I have way more exciting and fun things to do. Yeah, yes. I'm more I just want to create things and do things. So that's anyway, I thought that was kind of a cool idea. So hopefully the internal medicine doctor agrees and will cover all my stuff. But anyway, it's good. Yes, new moon blessing. Thank you, Quelly, for sure. Ah, Jane said the new moon was an UGG for her. I'm sorry, Jane. Yeah, I'm hoping it can help most of us fly. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, just a reminder if you're just joining us that we are going to read cards today. I'm going to teach you how to do a spread. So, if you want to be a part of that, definitely grab your cards. Well, let's take a look at Luminous. It is going to help explain a lot of what's in my heart this week. If you subscribe, you probably received it about a half an hour ago, or about an hour ago, I guess. So, it was time to update. I still had it full of all those Valentine hearts, and I updated it with books. Why? Well, our legislature here in Idaho is having what I think is arguably maybe the stupidest legislative session they've ever had. The most ludicrous and inane things are being presented and approved. And I'm already frustrated and, writing to my legislators who don't give a flying F what I have to say, but I'm trying. Two of our local legislators are men that I grew up with as neighbors. I've known them since I was a child. I have supported them. And I'm so pissed at them right now that if I saw them in the grocery store, they would not like what I had to say. Because frankly, I don't know who they are right now. They have so completely abandoned the values that I thought they had of kindness and of basic thought and courage that I don't even know who these people are. But right now, it's libraries and books. And man, this one has triggered me. Ooh, I feel my mother coming out in me here. You know, my mom was a teacher, and the woman loved books. When she died, she had hundreds and hundreds of books that we donated to back to her school. A lot of them we donated back to her school where she had taught. We donated some to the local public library. We started a library at Healing Hands with her books. I still have so many of her books. She loved books. She valued books in a way that many people may not be able to quite understand. But as a kid, we were taught to value books. We were taught to really to cherish books. Every holiday, you got books. For your birthday, you got books. For Christmas, you got books. Other times, you got books. And I still have so many books from her, and she wrote inside of them. She would use a book rather than a card. She'd write your little, birthday message in your book or your Christmas message in your book, not a card. And it wasn't just grabbing any random book. She would go to the bookstore and wander for hours looking at books, reading covers, thinking about things that we were all interested in, and buying books that she thought we would like. And she was a master of it. But long before that, when I was a kid, we went to the library a lot. We went to the public library at least once a week. Well, she had to go because she always had about a billion books checked out. She probably checked out like their max. She constantly was on a wait list for various books. She loved Oprah's book club. the book recommendations from Oprah, she would always check them out and read them and frequently recommend them to us, maybe buy a copy for somebody for a holiday. But she loved books and she taught us to love books and to respect books. If she caught you disrespecting a book in any way, you were going down. That would be much worse than a lot of other crimes I could think of a kid committing. You did not mistreat a book, by God. And she talked a lot about banned books and the concerns about banning books and why books should never be banned. And in general, was a champion of books and libraries. So as a kid, going to the public library was an event. I mean, again, we went at least once a week. We'd go to the library, and to be honest, she would bore us to death because she was there for a purpose, man. She had books she wanted. She needed to ask the librarian something. She needed to search for something. And we were expected to go to the kids section and find books that we wanted to read. They had, the rugs, the little reading nooks and stuff like that that you could sit around and read. And she expected us to check out books to come home and read. And then in the summer, our public library had a reading program. And, you could, for however many books you read every week, you could earn various things, little toys. Lots of times they were things from the community, like a snow cone or a trip to the public pool or a pizza from, the little mini pizzas from Pizza Hut, like the Book It program had. Uh, French fries, all kinds of things. We would get our little reading tokens, and then we'd ride our bikes around town and cash them in and get all the little things we earned. It was fun. And, but it was required at our house. You didn't get to not do the reading program. And then when my kids were little and she was still alive, she also had them in the public reading program. And I didn't usually go. It was their weekly outing. Saturday mornings she'd come and pick them up and they would go to the library and check out books and come home with a pile of them. And then by God, I was expected to make sure they read those books during the week so they could go back the next week and get their prize and keep going. So I grew up in the library in a lot of ways. I was thinking about my libraries in public school. And the reason librarians are in my heart, I should say, is because Idaho has decided to try to pass a bill that makes it so that if your kid goes to a library and reads something that you don't agree with, that you may sue the librarian, take legal action against them. Yeah. So maybe my kid goes to the library and reads a book about witchcraft, and I find that to be evil. I could sue the library and the librarian for that, take them to physical court personally. It is inane. It's a complete lack of responsibility on parents to parent their own children. It also comes from such a place of fear. Help me understand this. What are people so scared of? If you have your set of beliefs, and those are the beliefs that you're teaching your children, which I would imagine that's what people are doing, because that's kind of what people do, right? Why are you so scared of other people's beliefs that you think that you can limit what everyone else can consume because you're so scared that your kid will consume something that goes against what you believe? Are you that fragile in your beliefs? Because that's all I can think. But at any rate, it doesn't feel like freedom to me to limit access to information because you personally don't believe in it. And of course, the list of banned books is growing. As we know in Florida, the schools literally are ending up with bare shelves because the librarians and the teachers are so afraid that they're going to get in trouble for something on the shelf because somebody will have an objection with literally everything. This is crazy. It's crazy. And this isn't right or left at this point. This is nuts. I hate it. And I try to not do politics on my show too much, but this is just, there's a line for me when we start attacking books and libraries because that is terrible. And to try to make librarians personally liable for your kid coming in the library and reading something that you don't agree with is the dumbest thing I can think of. So anyway, that's where my thought process is. That's why I'm feeling all up in arms and defensive right now about books and librarians. Anyway, my librarian at my grade school, her name was Mrs. Gardner. I can see her in my mind. In fact, I see her occasionally in the grocery store and stuff and remember her. Very quiet, very soft spoken lady. I couldn't really handle rowdy boys in the library. She didn't have any idea what to do with them. but, uh, but I loved her because there was there was a time when I was reading at a level that was quite a bit higher than my level, which because of the way my mom handled books and reading probably shouldn't be any big surprise. But teachers tried to tell me that I couldn't check out books that were like bigger, thicker novels because that was higher than what maybe a fourth grader should be reading. But I could read those books. Those were the books I was reading at home. Those were the books I was getting from the public library. And Mrs. Gardner went to bat for me and let me prove that I could read bigger books like that and allowed me to check out those books even though other kids weren't allowed to. I understand that they probably are just trying to keep kids in their lane, you know, to check out books they actually can read so that they're not checking out things that are worthless to them. But in my case, it wasn't the case for me, but I just remember a time when she really went to bat for me to be able to check out harder books, larger books, because I could read them. And I always appreciated that about her, especially because my mom was ready to go to war about it. So thanks, Mrs. Gardner. When I was in college, now this was pre internet, obviously. The internet was just starting to take hold when I was in college. And I think you could get on the internet at the college in the computer lab, but the computer lab, I mean, this was a college of, I don't know, there's 30,000 students there now, but I think at the time there was more like maybe 5 or 10,000. And there is, um, anyway, but at the time there was one computer lab that had maybe like 50 computers in it, you know? So we weren't really doing computers so much at that time. I mean, maybe you could sit down at a computer and look up, you know, and use the Dewey Decimal System to find a book. That was basically what you had. You could sit down in the computer lab and write a paper and then print it there because we didn't have computers at home, really, you know, and or if we did, they were you probably didn't have a printer, you know. And I just think about that computer or that library. That library was 4 stories of books, thousands and thousands and thousands of books, and that's where you researched. If you had a research paper to write, you were gonna be at the library all day, right? You'd go in there, you'd sit down, you'd figure out, you'd start, looking up books that, had anything to do with your topic, going and finding them, bringing a pile of them back to the table, reading through them, writing your paper by hand. So different now, right? Uh, but that's what you did. But I spent so many hours in that library. I learned how to use microfiche. Have you guys ever done microfiche in order to look up the stuff I needed to know? When my dad died, I went back to that library to look up all of the articles that had been written about him in the local paper over the years because that's where all of the archives for the local paper were. And so We used a typewriter in junior high. Yeah. Or a word processor. Word processors were more popular then. Uh, anyway, but I was able to go back there after my dad died and sit down with the microfiche and go through and find all of the articles that had been written about him in the local paper because my dad was a barber and he was like everybody's friend. And there had been, I want to say, probably 8 articles written about him over the years. He'd been a barber in town for 30 years. And we were able to find those and print them and take them to share in his memorial and stuff. And that's because they were at the library being stored there. Because that's one of the things libraries do. They store archives, they store local history, they store important things that you may want to go back to at some point. And I still know how to use microfiche, which is, I think, hopefully, most microfiche will be digitized at some point because using microfiche is crazy, but it takes many hours. But it's what it is. I mean, that's where our history is, right? Anyway, a lot of fond memories of libraries, and to see libraries under attack right now, it hurts my heart and it scares me. It really scares me to see that kind of suppression in our current society, that kind of behavior. I think we should all be worried. We should all pay attention to that. It's wrong. It's wrong. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on, it should worry you because information is the most powerful thing we have. And whenever politicians, regardless of the side of the aisle they sit on or you sit on, decide that they are going to control the information that we can consume, we're in trouble. So I really urge you guys to pay attention to what's going on with books and libraries in your state. And if your state is taking action against libraries and against books and banning books, that you consider writing your legislators, making your voice heard, making sure that other people know this is happening. It's wrong. This is not the way a civilized society ought to be behaving. We're not civilized. I know. We all know. Anyway, so that's my soapbox. I called the magazine this week the No edition because sometimes we forget that no is a whole sentence. Sometimes you need to tell yourself no. Sometimes it's for someone else. Either way, say no. It's okay. You get to decide what's right for you. All right. And my musings are just an article about the libraries and what's in my heart. There's also a link at the end of it to a really good article from Honestly Modern about ways to support your local library. You may not go to the library much these days. You may not. We might kind of forget that libraries are still here and they're still doing really important work. I read an article today about a library that during I'm not sure what state it was in, but during a natural disaster chose to stay open when most people had gone home and battened down their hatches. They chose to stay open to be a safe place for people to come that needed to be there and to potentially have internet if they needed it. They were providing hot coffee and just providing a warm, safe place for people to be. I thought that was amazing. Librarians are heroes. They really are. Okay. Bitch scopes are so freaking good this week. If you don't take a minute and sit down and read all the way through them, you have done yourself a disservice. Kelly, you hit it out of the park. Here's what she called bitch scopes this week: Unfuckwithable, a heroine's journey. So good, Kelly. So freaking good. The whole thing. So thank you for being you and always being amazing. Let's just read Pisces. In honor of Matea and it being Pisces season, that's where we're going. You have Aries ruling your second house of income, so you should see a boost in money that comes in during this time, as well as a boost in your feelings around it. Lilith is in Leo in your sixth house. This is a fantastic placement for her when it comes to feelings about our body. She will remove any shame you have about your body, your health, and how you feel in your skin. She might even inspire some new self care habits that you can incorporate with no guilt. This is a great period of love and value yourself for you. Ha! We'll take it, by God. Thank you, Kelly. So check out Bitch Scopes. Read yours, read everybody's. She's got so much good information here and just such a great article. What a great writer she is. All right, my tip this week. Well, I'm still talking about books. Are you sick of me yet? 5 signs that you're a book addict with no intention of changing. When reading, you sometimes forget to eat. Your dreams are about book worlds, not the real world. Okay, well, come on, man. Those are the best dreams. I had a dream last week that I was still working at Kmart. I worked at Kmart when I was in high school and in college, so it's been a hot minute, right? More than 25 years ago. And I had a dream I was working at Kmart, but the Kmart was underwater. We were working in water about to our collarbones. The whole store was. The customers were literally wandering around in there, pushing shopping carts through the water. And if they needed something under the water, we were required to dive down and get it. And that's when we really grumbled about the customers. And what the hell was that dream? We even had our old Kmart red vests on underwater. Anyway, that wasn't a book dream. I wish it had been. Number 3, you love rainy days because you get to stay in and read. Number 4, your dream home includes a floor to ceiling library with a ladder. Can you imagine it? Yes. And number 5, you always believe the book is better than the movie. Well, come now. Come on. It is. You know it is. All right. By the way, if you are listen to the book on tape reader versus a sit down and read it reader, you are still a reader. That is still reading. Let's just put that argument to bed right now. Christy brings us her calm mind energy exercise. Really good one to just focus and hone in. All right, in Heart Happenings, Ginger brings us scopes. This week she's bringing us a crystal. Let's read one about Virgo. Your crystal this week ahead is carnelian. Carnelian helps promote security, confidence, and vitality. Ooh, I love carnelian. All right, over the True Crime Squad. Well, we've got a bunch of crime. I know that comes as a big surprise, but we sure do. All righty, and Jamie Dawn has a brand new video about the new moon week. And there you have it. That's Luminous for the week. So, as always, thank you to everyone who reads Luminous, participates in that, and also those who help to write Luminous. I appreciate that. I always appreciate that and the help that you guys give. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Okay. Hey, Mary. Jacqueline said, I haunt the library, reading to my grandson every night over Messenger FaceTime. I read a lot of books a gazillion times. Lately, he loves books about beavers and has some he always asks me to read. Oh, Jacqueline, I love that. I have a dear friend who has done a lot of reading to her grandkids and tutoring them and helping them with schoolwork and stuff over FaceTime. What an amazing gift, if you aren't in proximity to be able to just be together like that. It's amazing. Sid said, when I was growing up, librarians and patrons didn't like the kids being in the adult department. Also, back then, everyone whispered. Oh, yeah. A real change from today where people are allowed to shout into their cell phones. Ooh, not our library. It's still a whisper. Yeah, you don't get to. No. No, the library is still a place when you walk into, you know instantly, you better shut the hell up. That's funny. Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's dive into our topic. I'm excited. I have a graphic here I'm going to pull up, and I'm also going to post it in the chat room for you guys. So, I learned how to do an Osho spread in Denver a million years ago. I actually told you guys that story last week. I'm not going to tell it again right now because we don't have time. So I will leave it there, but you can find that story another time if you'd like to. But we're going to get going. So an Osho spread helps to get to the core of an issue, even if you don't know what the issue is. You ever just feel uncomfortable in your skin? You ever feel like something's blocking you or getting in your way and you're not quite sure what it is? You ever feel like there's more to the story than you're getting and you're not sure what it is? Sometimes you just need some clarity, right? So an Osho spread really helps you to get to that. So we're going to take our cards. Take your deck. The first thing you're going to do is knock it, right? You always knock your cards. Why? Well, legend has it that it helps to knock the old energy out of it from the last thing you did with it and clean them up. I don't know, but I do it every time. When my family, we play a lot of games, right? We play cards and stuff a lot. And you look around the table and everybody's it's just habit. We're going to shuffle 3 times. We're just going to hold space that our cards will bring us clarity and the truth. All right. 3 good shuffles. And here we are. So now we're going to lay out our spread. You'll just lay this out in front of you. So spread your cards out. You can fan them clear out in front of you. You can fan them out in your hand. Whatever your process is fine, but spread those cards out good so that you can get a good crack at all of them. I'm going to do a collective read. I'm going to encourage you to read on a topic. Whatever you're thinking about that you want more information about, that you want to understand better, that you need to work on for yourself, you decide. But I am going to encourage you to not just do a collective read with me, but pick something that you want to do a read on for you. All right. Now my cards are all found out here, so I'm going to start pulling them. So we'll pull the first card, first position first. Don't overthink this. Run your hands over the cards and pick out the one that feels right. A lot of times you'll feel a little heat in your hand or you'll feel just magnetized to a certain card. So pull your card. Place it in the center. And when you're done with that, pull the second card. It goes to the left of the main card. When you're done with that, pull the third card. That card goes to the right of the main card. When you're done with that, the fourth position card goes right below the first card. Okay. All right. Okay, so once that's done, and now you should have your spread in front of you, that main card in the middle, card on either side, and then a card above the main card on top and bottom. I like to leave all of my cards down and go face up one at a time. Uh, Mostly just because I get distracted and I'd rather focus on the card that I'm looking at. So go ahead and flip over that main card. We're not doing upside downs, by the way. If it's upside down, just write it. We're not doing upside downs. So my main card is partnerships and alliances. So this is a collective read. So to me, that card means that this next week we should seek out healthy partnerships and alliances with coworkers, with friends, family members, and we should keep our eye out for people that are trying to do the same with us and just pay attention to that. And we'll refer back to that throughout the reading. So that's all I have to say on that. But go ahead and pull that first card and interpret it for yourself. If you are unsure or if you want to, give a little bit of information about your reading in the chat so that you can get some guidance on it, you're welcome to. All right, let's move on to the second card. So the second card, now the second card is to the left. These are issues that you are aware of, okay? Are aware of. They probably just need a little bit more energy, need a little bit more resolution. The card that I pulled is Memories of Love. This tells me that one thing we need to be aware of this week is feeling grief, feeling regret, looking backwards. Okay. It could have to do with relationships, but I don't think it necessarily has to. But while you're working through this week, and obviously you have some good movement forward with partnerships, with alliances, with friendships, perhaps, that you're still going to have some grief come up over some maybe not so long ago losses, and that you'll need to work on that. If you are going through a period where grief rears its head, talk about it. Don't suffer in silence. Don't duck your head down and refuse to communicate about that. It doesn't serve you. So talk about it. Talk about it with people who can support you. Talk about it with people who can help be kind to you. You know, this is not a time to be quiet. It's a time to be able to at least talk about how you're feeling or even share that person's stories, talk about them. That's important. Okay, the third card. These are issues that you may not be aware of. Let's go ahead and pull that one. Okay, that comes up as patience and planning. So, an issue for you may be that you are not patient in the moment or that you are not planning for your future. So, you really got to think about that this week in the scope of how does that relate to partnerships and alliances, right? To building friendships, to building those partnerships at work, to building things that you can fall back on later, and making sure that you are behaving in a way now that serves you in the future. That patience piece is really important, I think, for a lot of us in making long term goals, realizing that you can't eat an elephant in a day, but you can start putting some plans in place. And that planning piece. What are your goals and how are you going to get there? Are you saving some money? Are you saving some time off? Are you talking to people that can help you get to where you need to be? Or are you procrastinating? Life is short. And if there's things that you've always wanted to do, by God, start thinking about doing them. If you've always wanted to go to Europe, pick a date. Start saving money. Get your passport. Get a travel buddy. Get going on that. If there's something you've always wanted to learn, start working on it now. We act like we have forever, but no one does. And honestly, life's too short to just work and do nothing else. Life's too short to not get to enjoy the fruits of our labors, and life's too short to not get to do the things that your soul feels called to do. Now's the time. Okay, your strength. That's number 4. That's the card in the 4th position. It's right below the number 1 card. This is your strength or talents while you are working through this period. And the card actually for this reading, for the collective reading, is obstacles and challenges, meaning that you have a talent for working through obstacles and challenges. You have a talent or a strength in working through hard things and thinking outside of the box, and that you may need to apply that during this time. I think it's really important to remember that you're a good problem solver. You've made it this far in life because you have managed to get creative when you had to. You've managed to solve problems as they came. A lot of you guys don't give yourselves any credit for your accomplishments, but this is an important one to remember. You do have the power, you do have the strength to get through hard times. You're better at it than you think. That's why everybody comes to you with their problems, because you throw out ideas and suggestions that they never considered or that they never had the belief in themselves to think they could do. All right, so once you've pulled your strength card, let's move on to the 5th position. This is the card at the top. This is the highest and best outcome. In this reading, it is the shadow. Interesting. So, the highest and best outcome, let's tie it all together, of going through this following week, building partnerships and alliances, strengthening friendships and relationships, of dealing with some old grief or heartache that comes up, of doubling down on patience of planning, of being a good problem solver and getting through obstacles and challenges, is that you get an opportunity to face a part of your shadow and pull it to the surface to help you. The word that comes up for me for this week for us collectively is courage. That this is a week that helps to build some of our courage and strength. It really tells me that this week gives us some opportunities to be braver than we thought we could be. I think it's pretty cool because then you get to look back on that period and go, yeah, yeah, I'm a badass. I got through this. I can get through this. It's not a bad week per se. It just means that you're going to be called on, right? In various ways to use your voice, to use your talents and skills. That shadow is not bad. Not at all. These are parts of you that got shamed out of you when you were a kid that are coming to the surface. Maybe this is, God forbid, the bossy part, or the one that takes control and makes something happen, or the one that speaks her mind when someone else doesn't really want to hear it. Who knows? But this is the part of you that comes to the surface. Let's let her stay. Let's let her stay, huh? Okay, so that's the Osho spread. If you guys want to throw up any parts of your reading that you're confused about, or even just let me know how that works for you, you're welcome to. We can sure talk about it. But that's what it looks like. Obviously, readings like that, practicing them makes you better at them. But I really like this one. I've done this reading for years and years and years, and I think it's a great one to just really help hone in on an issue and help us understand more about it, especially when you're too close to something. You know, when you're too close to something and you might be missing some things because you are too close to it, I think the Osho spread helps to give you a little bit more guidance. Tara said, I love Osho. My Osho deck saved my life. Yeah. Tiffany said, my question, what do I need to know about the spot my ophthalmologist found in my eye and said could be melanoma? She has a personal and family history of melanoma. Okay. The best and highest outcome is concerning. You know what I would do, Tiff? I would pull a clarification card on that. I would pull a clarification card to see if there's anything else that you need to know that would add a little more context to that. Anytime you're pulling cards, if you get a card that is concerning or you get a card that is confusing, pull an extra card, just asking to see if there's anything else you need to know about that. That's what I would do. Let's see. Ooh, Taurus did an Osho spread with the Osho deck. Nice. Ooh, those are gorgeous cards. The highest and best outcome is maturity. I love it. Oh, that's funny. Tara, you are the best. Okay. I love it. Thanks, you guys, for sharing. So, if that's a reading you love and resonated with you, great. If it's not and you have other readings you like more power to you. That's the great thing about this kind of work is that we are not stuck in any spot, and we certainly get to break and bend the rules to work for us, right? Awesome. Okay. Jane said, great reading. Is this the deck you'd recommend for a newbie novice? This is the deck. Yeah, this is, or anyone. This is the Psychic Tarot deck from John Holland. Make sure it's the Psychic Tarot deck because he's put out another deck or two since then that I think are, hmm, this is his best deck. I've said this a million times, but typically people that put out a deck, particularly Hay House authors, their first work is their best work because that's the one that was inspired. That's the one that their spirit helped them write. That's the one that was their big piece of work. The ones after that are the ones that the publisher told them to write. And I'm sure that's not always fair and take that with a grain of salt, but I've just seen it so many times. The first work is almost always the best one. So, anyway, love this deck. I've used it for years. This is my second one. The first one got destroyed by a Great Dane. but I really, really like these cards. Yeah. Okay. No, not a Great Dane. I think it was a pig, actually. I had a deck destroyed by a Great Dane, but this one I believe actually was a pig who ate a good portion of that deck. So, you know, this is what I live with. But yeah, Psychic Tarot by John Holland. Really, really good deck. Okay. Oh, back to the chat room really quick. That's true. Tara said Colette Baron reads Wisdom of the Oracle is my favorite and not her first. That's true. Colette, however, does a way better job of staying true to herself. Tiffany did a follow-up question of outcome 1 month later and 6 months later. That looks better. Yep. So, meaning really, Tiffany, probably that you're gonna have some stressful moments with this or some worrisome moments with this, but down the road, obviously, we're seeing a powerful outcome. So that makes sense. I hope that makes you feel better. But it is a good message to you to stay on this, you know, which I think you would have anyway, because you're really good that way. But it is a good message to stay on it. Yeah. But yeah, Colette is a different breed. She absolutely stays true to herself. She's come and gone from Hay House a couple of times because they piss her off and try and tell her what to do, and so she leaves. Then she goes back. But she's been very different with them. Yeah. Yeah. Sid said, I've given up on Hay House card decks. They seem to lack soul, and some of the cardstock seems to be treated with a chemical, making them super slippery and irritating to some people's hands. I know. I know. I like Blue Angel. Blue Angel. That's who published Angela Hartfield's decks. And man, they do a good job. And I'm all for indie authors, you know. I really am an artist because they are, again, writing without an agenda. They are putting out something that they're really uh, passionate about, and I think that's important. I got really burned out on Hay House's methods through the whole Doreen Virtue, Radley Valentine time, and others, that they were just pumping out deck after deck after deck. Just, remember all of those decks that Doreen Virtue put out that were so too specific? Like this one is all for health, and one is all for protection, and this one is all for romance. And those decks sucked because unless you were asking a specific, about that specific topic, they really didn't work very well. I don't know. It seemed to me like they were just putting out a lot of stuff just to put something out and sell it, not because it was, and they're publishers. That's what they do. But yeah, I want decks that are meaningful to the author and that could be meaningful to me. Which, you know what? And if you guys love Hay House decks, don't listen to me. Like don't let me steal your thunder at all. I just I've lost some faith in them, most faith in them, uh, over some of that stuff. You know, I don't know. I'm sure you guys all own a lot of decks, and I do as well, and some that do really resonate with me, and some that just don't. Yeah. Oh, Rebecca said I don't even follow Hay House anymore. I don't either. Um, I thought the way they handled Dr. Wayne Dyer's passing was really freaking gross. And then I thought the way they handled Louise Hay's passing was really gross. And yeah, not a big fan anymore at all. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The vibe flipped after Louise passed. I mean, Louise had already bowed out, what, a year or two before she passed? A couple of years before she passed. And the vibe had changed then. But that old, you know, draw everybody in and create a family feel is just gone with them. Yeah. Well, whatever. Boo. But oh, Jacqueline said I used the Dream Virtue deck today, the Ascended Masters. That is a good deck. I like that. Yeah. It and the Animal deck are the only decks I have. I do like her Ascended Masters deck. Her two decks that I actually do really like are the Ascended Masters and that original Wisdom from the Angels deck, or Daily Guidance from the Angels, the purple one, her very first one, my favorites. But yeah. So yeah, I agree, Jacqueline. And again, if you have a deck of anyone's that you like and it works for you, don't let me knock you off your unicorn at all. Okay, we got to do our bibliomancy. So let's see what Kathleen Peterson and her Ascended Masters have for us today. Baba G. I might be saying that wrong. I don't know. I come before you today to encourage your direct communication with God. You are divine and need no assistance to communicate directly with God. You will always receive a response. You just need to sit still and listen. Realize that the response you receive may not always be in the form that you expect, but you will always receive a response. Call on me if you are unsure, or your higher power. Don't let the word God get too under your skin. If that, I don't like that word. It's triggering, I think, for those of us that are recovering from religion. but but if you do, it's fine too. But if the word God triggers you, God is universe, higher power. Put whatever word in there works for you. That's fine. Know that all you have to do to get my attention and assistance is speak my name. I am pleased to see the growth in each of you. I am pleased to let you know that you have progressed beyond what you perceive. You all grow daily in your awakening. Many of you followed disciplines, sorry, that lead you toward greater communication with the all. Continue to follow those practices. Know, however, that you can progress by staying open and focusing your intent on connecting with the all. Open your eyes and look for the signs which are before you daily. Spirit acknowledges your intent to connect in various ways, not always in large panoramic scenes with color and fine works. Some signs are very subtle, and you need to stay alert for the response. Just know that there is a response. You are all connected as you have been told before. Now is the time to awaken to the connection. All of us and the other realms support what you are about. We encourage every step you take and want you to know that we are ready to assist whenever you request our help. Listen to your heart and know that when you lead with your heart, you are increasing the connection. Stay focused to your healthy desires and stay intent, knowing that you are already manifesting everything you know. I send you blessings and support. You are connected, even though you may not be aware. May light, love, and joy be with you through the end of your days. That is Baba G. And that, of course, is our message from Kathleen Peterson. So, you guys, we've done it. That went really fast today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for your support. Don't forget that I am a professional psychic advisor over at one2listen.com. You can find me over there every single day. And if I'm not there, just do a callback request and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can, but I'm there most of the time and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you in every way. So, thank you so much for being here. This has been the Katie Weaver Show here on 12 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.